Good morning. As we look at Proverbs 22 through 24 this morning, the first part of chapter 22 is attributed to Solomon, and then beginning, pages don't want to turn again this morning, but beginning with verse 17, they're not just like the one verse sayings anyway. They get to be paragraphs, 5 or 6 verses that are put together. It's a kind of a collection of sayings, and some of these have been attributed to others. That maybe Solomon was, when this was written, that it was things from other people were brought in, just like the very last 2 chapters of this book also are proverbs of someone other than Solomon. But some of these are, but a lot of it still is words to the wise. And chapter 22. Starts out with, a good name is to be chosen rather than great riches. And, to be known for who you are, to be known as an honest and upright person, and to be known as a person whose word is good, means a lot, and to have that good reputation that way. And, so a good name is often worth an awful lot more than, a lot of money. Not that we all want money too, but to have a good name is so important. And, I invite you to think about, people in your past or in your, contemporary people today that you would trust with your life, or that when they say something, you believe it, and you don't wonder about them. There are some people that we you kind of wonder sometimes, well, is anything they say really 100% true? But having a good name is really, really important. Verse 2 is a truism. The rich and the poor have this in common: the Lord is maker of them all. And we all attribute our, I shouldn't say we all, because there are people that say there is no God and that everything just happened by chance. But God is God of all, and that's a very truth that I hold dear and clear. Verse 3, the clever see danger and hide. And when we get a warning, it's just like some of these areas along the coast where they have, the hurricanes and stuff coming. And when we have a tornado warning or a watch, it's important to pay attention to those things. And, rather than go out and chase them. And I understand, that there are storm chasers that get paid, money for what they do, and you see these reporters when there's they're out in the middle of the storm of a hurricane or something, and I think, well, how stupid are you? But yet you find them out there. So the clever see danger and hide. It's important to think about that. Verse 6 again talks about being a parent. Train children in the right way, and when they're old, they will not stray. And, it is. We raise our children the right way. And I shared a post this the other day about, if we as adults, as parents, don't teach our children about God, and then they in turn don't teach their children, pretty quick, it's all gone. But it's still, and it isn't only teaching them about having faith in God, but teaching them to be a good person, a person of that good reputation. And then starting in verse 17, as I mentioned, some of these wise sayings are, they're not just one verse, but several. And, it starts with, incline your ear and hear my words, apply your mind to my teaching. And it's just, we need to listen to so much of what's going on in the world. And then we need to make wise decisions about what we hear of what's going on in the world. It says, apply your mind to my teaching, for they'll be pleasant if you keep it, so that your trust may be in the Lord. And this, we should all know that, God is always faithful, and that we can always trust him to be gracious and merciful. Verse 28 of chapter 22, do not remove the ancient landmark that your ancestors set up. And I've got that referenced across to chapter 23, verse 10. And they're almost straight across from each other in my Bible that I've got looking at. But do not remove an ancient landmark or encroach upon the fields of the orchards. Do not remove the ancient landmark. Remember history. Learn from history. These people that, we've had to remove, statues and tributes to, people that were on the wrong side of the war. Well, but yet, we learn so much from history. And if we take all of that history and say it's of no value, that we don't need to know that, when we don't know history, when we don't know the past, we're so much more apt to fall into the same things again and do those same old sins and that. So we need to have these ancient landmarks of history and what's gone on, so that we can learn and hopefully become a better country, a better nation, a better world because of learning from history. And it's, there are people that say, well, the Nazis didn't persecute the Jews, and we got people today. China is persecuting a certain group of people within there, and we see this kind of persecution going on. And if we ignore it, if we say it didn't happen, if we just turn a blinder to it, it continues to happen. But, as a world of loving and God-fearing people, we need to speak out in so many of these ways, so that we can retain this history and remember from it. I got chapter 23, verse 4. Do not wear yourself out to get rich. Be wise enough to desist, because when your eyes light upon it, it's gone. It takes wings and it flies like an eagle away. We all have these goals in life, and we need to have, financial security. But, it's kind of like saying, don't reach for the pie in the sky and think that's all there is. We very seldom are ever satisfied with what we have and how much we have. We always need, just that little bit more, as I think it was Nelson Rockefeller said, just a little bit more, when he was asked, how much wealth do you need? And, but it's, don't always need more. Learn to be content and learn to be not only content, but learn to be, I don't know what word I'm looking for, but just, to know that what you have is enough. And, you don't need to be this overly ambitious zealot that just never ever gives up or never quits. But to be able to relax and enjoy and to look at the good things that we have in life. Verse 10 I already talked about. Verse 25 of chapter 23, let your father and mother be glad. Let those who bore you rejoice. And, to honor your parents, but to bring honor to your parents as well. It's you'd much rather hear someone say about your children something good rather than, boy, they sure raised a bum there. And children too. At least I hope that they would have this feeling within themselves, this desire to not to besmirch, to make bad the family name, and there's to be the bad apple of the group that way, but to try to bring honor to your family. And it's just, it goes back to verse 6 of chapter 22. Train your child in the right way, and when they're old, they won't stray. And so when they get grown up, they continue in the right and proper ways of living. Chapter 24, I've got verses 8 and 9 kind of highlighted. Whoever plans to do evil will be called a mischief maker. The devising of folly is sin, and the scoffer is an abomination to all. And again, we just don't need those people that are continually stirring the pot. And we all know that there are people like that in our world. And we just don't need those mischief makers, those people that are always looking for the bad in someone or pointing out the bad in somebody. And sometimes they may do it in order to try to make themselves feel better. Well, I'm not as bad as so and so, but and you all know people too, just like I'm talking about there. Last thing I want to talk about today is verse 29. Do not say, I will do to others as they've done to me. I'm going to pay them back for what they've done. It's that reminder that, seeking revenge, often when we seek revenge and when we plot that, we spend more time and more effort on that. And sometimes it comes back to haunt us that way, it's so hard to turn the other cheek and to accept sometimes what others do to us. But the Old Testament ruling was an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, and Jesus said, turn the other cheek. It's so hard to do, so hard to do. May God give us strength each day to be a good witness, to raise our families, and to conduct ourselves in honorable fashion.